The transfer portal is humming, and National Signing Day is less than 24 hours away. And all that means good news for Nebraska fans as there are commits coming in and the special teams are being addressed. So listen in for the next hour. We got Greg Peterson. As always, he's the guy that makes this thing happen here for the next hour to talk Nebraska football here on Huskers Live. Hey, Greg.
Hey, Mark. How you doing?
I'm good.
Happy National Signing Day Eve.
Yes, as it's yes.
Maybe the last early National Signing Day that we see, ironically. With the invent of the transfer portal, this might be the last one. Nobody likes it now. So
That's funny because this has been in play for maybe 4 years, would be my guess, 3 to 4 years, this early signing day.
Yeah.
And I heard coaches, as typically everybody doesn't like change, squawk about it. But then once it came into play, I heard good things about it because it took care of a lot of commitments that, of course, would linger on until February. And now I'm hearing the same thing as I look online where there's a lot of people that are coming against it now.
Yeah, it's really become quite the headache, spreading it out. You have one coming up here tomorrow and then another one in February. And the consensus that I'm hearing is that let's just have one National Signing Day like we used to have and have it in January. Kind of, compromise.
Split the difference. Yep.
Right. And in that way, because of the transfer portal, which is like, I mean, if you're watching, and I know everybody probably is, it's crazy. It is absolutely free agency out there as we speak. And names keep dropping, I mean, by the minute. And it's just crazy. And it's now become a business. And now that, there's 2 signing days, I think they need to push it back a little bit because, it's like the NFL does. They have their free agency come in March, right? And then they have their draft in April. 2 separate periods right there. So you have a chance to get your team together in a much more civilized way than we are doing right now in the college football world.
Well, at least in the NFL, it's structured and self-contained because there's only so many players whose contracts are up that are free agents. Everybody else is under contract. So I don't know what that percentage is, 10%, 15% of the league, maybe.
Much less than it is in college football.
It's 100%. Everybody can be a free agent at any time.
Yeah. So it's the wild, wild west. And, I mean, this affects every college out there, not just Nebraska, what we're talking about. But yeah, it's an unprecedented time in college football, and I really couldn't tell you if it's a good thing or a bad thing, because the traditionalists can think back the old school way to where hey, we're getting a guy here that, for 4 years, or if he redshirts, we're going to have him here for 5 years. He's our guy. Nowadays, you don't know. He might be here for a year or 2 tops and then be gone. So it's really bizarre, and I don't know if it's good or bad.
I think it's both.
Yeah.
And this is the reason. I think for your average college football fan and for the health of the sport, I don't think it's good. I don't think it's good to have players playing at 3 or 4 different schools over the course of their careers. I think it's good for college football to have that purity, that allegiance, that loyalty of when we watch Monday Night Football, we can see that so-and-so 10-year NFL veteran for the Los Angeles Rams played at Nebraska. That's where he played. He was a Nebraska Cornhusker through and through. He didn't play at Nebraska, then Illinois, and then UCLA. And I just think that there's something special about college football that way, and has been for this entire century. And now here we go with basic free agency. But on the flip side, if everybody else is free in this country to work for whomever they want and go to school wherever, I am not going to be the one to say that they should be restricted in any way. Greg, I have to question at times why these guys leave, because when this first exploded about a year and a half ago, it seemed to be very quarterback driven for the obvious reason. There's only one on the field. So if you don't win the starting job, you're screwed. And if you really want to make a career out of it or want to play, then you got to go somewhere where you can play. So if you're an offensive lineman and if you can't make the starting 5 and probably 7 get on the field in the rotation, then you're probably just not that good of a player. So it's a little different for quarterbacks because there's only one that plays. So it became a very quarterback driven situation. And in the early months of it, it made sense where you would say, okay, that quarterback's leaving because it's obvious he's stuck behind a star. Now I look at these lists of quarterbacks and I'm like, why is this guy leaving? Why is this guy leaving? Why is it Bo Nix at Auburn? Yep. He's the starting quarterback at Auburn. That doesn't seem like such a bad deal.
And no coaching change either, right?
Yeah. Max Johnson, LSU, starting quarterback. I don't know why these guys are leaving. I don't get it.
Well, okay. You know what? And you got to throw in the NIL in there too. I mean,
yeah,
because you do have better opportunities at a different school.
True.
So yeah, it's become, a profession now. I mean, it's always been a profession. We know that, even though they're called amateur athletes, but, now it's become legal, and now they have to report it to Uncle Sam. Is the only difference.
Absolutely. So let's narrow this down to what it all means for Nebraska football. And there's a lot going on in the transfer portal, but we'll focus on National Signing Day first and foremost with the commits that are coming in and could be coming in. So the first one I'll throw at you, Greg, is the one that's going to be announced here tonight. Ben Roberts was a defensive lineman who was choosing between Oregon and I believe had committed to the Ducks at one point.
Yeah, he was a long time commit to Oregon until Mario Cristobal took off for a change of scenery, we'll put it. So now he is obviously he is a Polynesian descent, and Tony Tuioti has jumped in there on him and made a huge impression. He came down here for a visit. Noah Pola Gates was his guide on his visit, and he had a great visit. And now he is deciding tonight between Nebraska and Oregon. Oregon is still there. He might still stick with the Ducks. You never know, but like we talked about before, Tony Tuioti is making a big push in the Polynesian community, and you see that paying off this year already. And we're looking ahead next year, especially in that department. And also when you add the new offensive line coach, Donovan Raiola, who's also a Polynesian descent and has a lot of ties to this university, that you got to like your chances with a guy like Ben. He's a 3-star defensive tackle, and obviously Nebraska needs to address that situation now since Damian Daniels declared for the NFL draft. So that's a guy that now we know that will not be back on that defensive line for the Huskers coming up here in 2022. So, now Tony Tuiotti's got to address that situation. And like we said, Ben's going to make that decision tonight, and I believe he's not going to make that public until tomorrow. So we will not know until tomorrow unless I get a little inside information to slip my way. But you never know on that one. So that's what we're waiting on for. But then, less than now a little bit over an hour ago, Nebraska did get a big time get there on the defensive side of the ball. A guy that Travis Fisher jumped on right away in Jaden Gold. He's a Rivals 100 corner. He was previously committed to USC, and then we all know what happened there. And, he's a kid out of Camden, New Jersey, and he decided to open it back up, and he was down to 2 schools. It was Penn State, Nebraska. Missouri was also in there. And, he made it known here at 6 o'clock Eastern time that he's going to be a Husker. So that's a big get. That's a 4-star. the top ranked recruit now in this class going forward, and it just shows you that Nebraska, at least on the defensive side of the ball, has things rolling right now with Eric Schneider and his staff, continuing to add. And you can see Travis Fisher, the impression that he has and his coaching ability. You got DiCaprio Boodle in the NFL right now. Cam Taylor-Britt coming out, going to be an NFL draft pick. Markel Dismuke, Deontay Williams, a couple other guys that are probably going to be playing on Sundays as well coming out in Nebraska this year. So, and JoJo Doman, you can't forget him as a nickel type guy. So, Nebraska seems to be a place now where it's pretty desirable to come and play on the defensive side of the ball, especially in the defensive backfield.
So the rundown on Gold is that he's the fourth-rated player in the state of New Jersey, according to the Rivals rankings. That's at Bergen Catholic. That's a football factory in New Jersey.
Yeah, it's a great play. I've been there. I've covered a game there, and it's a pretty unique atmosphere. Absolutely.
29th rated at his position, 39 offers. And then in looking at Roberts, he originally committed to Washington. Then he decommitted, went to Oregon. He's a current Oregon Duck commit, or was, and he's got a pretty nice offer list. It's only 12, but it includes Oregon, Baylor, Colorado, Oregon State.
I love how we say it's only 12. I mean, how many kids out there are saying, wait a minute, where's my offer at? I mean, that's pretty good if you got 12.
Oh, yes. And they're coming from Nebraska and Oregon and Baylor and Colorado. Yes. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not demeaning it in any way. I'm just used to seeing, 20 or 25.
I can't tell you
wrong with
how many times have I had that question asked me from a kid or a kid's parents. When's that offer coming? I'm sorry.
There you go.
I really don't have anything to do with that process.
Then we also have Greg Deshawn Singleton.
We do.
Is he on your list?
Yeah, he's a transfer. He's a JUCO. Actually, he counts in this class. So he's a JUCO transfer out of Hutchinson Junior College. Another kid that's going to add some veteran presence in there, and like we're talking about, Nebraska's losing 3 out of their 4 starting defensive backs. So not to take away anything from guys like Quentin Newsom and Miles Farmer and those guys, but you need to reload at that position group, and he's going to be a guy that can step in right away and compete for playing time. And again, it goes back to Travis Fisher's kind of prowess there as a guy that can groom you to play at the next level. And I like him a lot.
Deshawn Singleton got some offers from Kansas and Kansas State, also some group of 5 offers, and a top 20 rated JUCO player in the country, regardless of position, out of
and Hutchinson's a pretty darn good program too. If you're not familiar with the JUCO league here, that covers Kansas and Oklahoma and Nebraska and Iowa, it's a pretty tough brand of football and produces a lot of good players.
Folks, leave your comments and your questions. I will be scanning the live chat as I always do. We got Greg Peterson here each and every week, Tuesday night, 7 o'clock Eastern, 6 Central. Be here next week, and please bring some folks with you. Let's grow the channel and grow the live stream that we do here with Greg each and every week. Send these links out on Twitter and Facebook. Some of you belong to Nebraska Facebook groups, and let them know that we're here. All right. Special teams. As I started to go through the transfer portal and who has committed and decided to transfer to Nebraska, each one, special teams guy, special teams guy, special teams guy, on down the line. So they picked up a punter from Montana in Brian Buschini. So he's one.
Yep. They addressed them both. They got a kicker and a punter out of this whole deal. So they're addressing that special teams. Um, Brian Buschini coming out of Montana. Nebraska fans, we know that they struck gold out of Montana last year with Samari Torre. And that's kind of cool too. You brought it up earlier about a guy that goes to school and plays at a high level for you for several years and then transfers away. We could say Adrian Martinez is going to be that guy when he goes to the NFL. He'll say he's not from Nebraska; he's from wherever, Kansas State or whatever. Samari Torre is a guy that will be from Nebraska, so that's cool. So going back to Brian Brucini from Montana, he's the FCS punter of the year. So he's not, he's not chopped liver or anything like that. So Nebraska went out and targeted the best guy that they could find that they thought could help them out right away. And like I said, they had success with a Montana player already. So I don't think that scared them off at all. And that's awesome. And I think that, boom, now you have your punter. And then we hear that, you get your kicker as well out of Furman, who's also a pretty darn good player who's had a heck of a career in Timmy Bleekrode. So, you just addressed both of your really big-time needs in the kicking game. And, we talked about last week as well as one of the recent commits with Malcolm Hartzog out of the high school ranks, a corner and a punt return specialist. So they're addressing those needs there at special teams. When it's kind of funny that they don't have a special teams coach yet, or do we know if they're going to have a special teams coach yet? But obviously, that is a big time area of need, and they're filling that right now. And I just can't wait for those jobs to be nailed down, and instead of hearing week by week next year that it's an open competition, because that's all we've been hearing for about the last 2 years at those spots.
Greg, maybe the approach is they go out and get such good special teams players, they don't need a coach.
Yeah, well, that would be great, right? Here's the thing is that they have a special teams coach on staff by the name of Bill Bush. He's done it before, and he's there. He's available. He's one of those special, advisors. And that's the big question: is if he's going to be that final hire to round things out. It's bizarre right now. So it's hard to say.
So as Greg mentions, Buschini gets the job done here. FCS All-American, 46-yard average on his punts. He also kicks off. So he apparently can kick him through the end zone, and Nebraska's only kicked 27 out of the last 75 through the end zone, and he can do that on a regular basis.
Yeah. Miss those old days when you always had a guy there with a cannon that would drive it right through the end zone, through the uprights every now and then, get a rouge, but it didn't count because we're not in Canada. So, yeah.
And then I've got the Furman kicker, Bleekrode. I got his numbers here: 30 of 32 on extra points, 15 of 19 on field goals.
Not bad. We'll take it here.
That'll get the job done. That will get the job done.
Yep. So any kind of an upgrade right now at those positions is an A+ in my book.
And they picked up a long snapper from Georgetown, Brady Weiss. And then I think it was last week that you touched on Malcolm Hartzog, that they had already gotten the kickoff and punt returner.
Yeah, I just brought him up just now as well. And we are missing. You missed. They just picked up yesterday, I believe. Tommy Hill was a transfer out of ASU. Another corner / safety, former 4-star player that transferred out of ASU. So. Yeah, that's another feather in Travis Fisher's hat again. That's kind of getting to be a theme here tonight, but they've reloaded at that position, and it's never hurts to add another a former 4-star that's played at a high level and and played a lot at ASU. So, yeah, you see Nebraska right now building this class through high school commits, through junior college commits, and through the transfer portal. And that's the way that they have to do it right now because, we mentioned last week that you're not going to build this and fix things just going straight with high school prospects right now. And they're making the most of things right now coming up, here, it's only a few hours away before you can, start signing your letter of intent and faxing it over to your school.
Tommy Hill played in 7 of Arizona State's 12 games. They've got a bowl game against Wisconsin coming up. Toby, we appreciate that you actually think that Greg and I are the 2 best guys on the internet. We'll take it.
Yeah, spread the word there, brother.
There you go. And Toby's also asking about the quarterback situation with all those quarterbacks in the portal.
Well, yeah, I guess we haven't even got to that. We haven't even been able to address that yet, have we? Yeah, Miles Brennan right now has been the guy that Nebraska's throwing all their money at. Well, so to say, so to speak. LSU quarterback that's kind of funny that we mentioned Bill Busch just a little bit ago, former LSU coach, who was the one responsible for bringing Joe Burrow to LSU. That was him. And we all know what happened to Joe Burrow. He won the Heisman Trophy. He was the number 1 draft pick in the draft. And he's playing at a super high level right now on Sundays. And so they're going after him. And as well, Mickey Joseph as well, the new wide receivers coach, has been at LSU here for the past 3-4 years. So a lot of familiarity there. So that's what they've been focusing on. And he visited here and not taking any more visits. But the funny thing about it is that all of a sudden, as the days go past, more and more names get dropped into that transfer portal. And if you're Nebraska, do you sit there and think, hey, we kicked the can on this guy about 60, 70%, but wait a minute, is there a guy like Bo Nix? Is he a better fit here at Nebraska? Slovis, is he a better fit? Probably not. But I mean, you're just using that as an example. So it's totally fluid right now. But if I was a betting man, I would still say Miles Brennan would be that guy. But yeah, your guess is as good as mine with as many names that are out there, and who knows what kind of talks go on, and things could change by the minute. But yeah, we're going to wait and see. And like we said, 100% Nebraska is taking a veteran quarterback. No ifs, ands, or buts. There's going to be a Power 5 quarterback with plenty of playing experience that is going to come in here and compete for the job with Logan Smothers and Heinrich Harburg. And Richard Torres is still a commit on the Nebraska list. So there you go. At least you have four bodies in that room. You kind of like to have maybe 5 or 6 bodies in that room moving on. But the bottom line is you got to get your veteran guy in here for spring ball to be able to come in here and learn the offense under new offensive coordinator Mark Whipple, and to be able to get that timing down with your wide receivers and, get all that in check before you enter into fall camp. So, yeah, answer your question is, yeah, that's probably Nebraska's number 1 goal right now is to nail down that quarterback out of the transfer portal.
We've had a few Iowa fans show up here in the live chat, and they're peeking in on their rival. And we just finished up this Iowa show a few minutes ago. And I got to tell you, I'm not diminishing Iowa's 10-2 season or puffing up Nebraska's 3-9 season, because that's the bottom line record. But we both know, everybody knows, listening, if you're a realistic football fan, Iowa wasn't quite as good as their 10-2 record, and Nebraska wasn't nearly as bad as their 3-9 record. These teams are fairly close, and they showed that when they played on the field and through the other results of their games. What I'm getting at is that Iowa, again, for as much as there was a huge difference in the records, Nebraska actually had a better offense than Iowa. Iowa's offense was pretty awful last season.
Yeah.
And there's no hint at this point that they're going after a transfer quarterback, and there's all sorts of options out there. And so I'm glad to hear that Nebraska is going after Miles Brennan, because I think he's a pretty darn good quarterback. Had a really good start to his season last year at LSU, and had 11 touchdowns in his first 3 games before he got hurt. That they're, looking to bring in a veteran quarterback.
They have to. They have to. Yeah, they absolutely have to. And that's not saying anything diminishing about what they have right now in their quarterback room, but it's going to be a different look offense, obviously, when you're bringing in a whole new offensive coaching staff. So we're going to see. I mean, I think it's going to happen sooner than later. Anyway, I think it's going to happen here pretty quick, and you're going to know who that quarterback is coming into Nebraska. I think by the weekend, to tell you the truth.
Okay. A lot of you with questions that Greg has already addressed about the commits this week, and of course these transfer portal additions that have just come in on special teams.
Yeah, I think we hit on that punt. I mean, I like him. I mean, his stats are great, and I think he'll come in here and get the job done. Obviously, coming from Montana, you're playing in some pretty poor conditions, so you got to figure that cold weather and wind's not going to affect him too much.
Alan's here. Appreciate you being here, Alan, as always. Encouraging everyone to hit the like button. Moonbot. There's Moonbot. He wants to know about Tyreke Johnson. Has there been anything out there about what's going on with him since the end of
I've been wondering that every time I see him, in pregame and on the sidelines, and I've got questions about that too. But I mean, obviously Cam Taylor-Britt had one side of that lockdown, and I think Quentin Newsom established himself as a pretty darn good corner in the Big 12. He played at a really high level, so I think Tyreke gets his chance next year to be that other guy. His job to lose at that other side, opposite of Quentin Newsom.
Folks, the Super Chat's on if you'd like to contribute to the show, to the channel, and also you can hit me up at Venmo, PayPal, Cash App, MarkRogersTV. And also we could use a sponsor here on our Nebraska show each and every week. So if you have any legitimate ideas, connections to sponsors, hit me up at MarkRogersTV at Gmail. Zach Calzada, did you review him in the high school recruiting process?
No, I didn't. He's obviously a name out there, but I think right now Nebraska is not really looking at the high school level right now in recruiting. They've kind of got a plan moving forward, and they'll address that position more next year from the high school ranks.
Yeah, so Calzada is he played this past year at Texas A&M, so I was just curious whether he was being thrown around.
He just went in the portal last night, right?
Yeah.
No, that's that. Yeah, he's a guy that makes you scratch your head. Is he a better fit? Yes or no? I mean, yeah, Is he a guy that they're considering? I'm saying probably, yeah. They got to consider everybody right now. I meant to pull up a list of all the quarterbacks in the portal, and I didn't get a chance to.
Oh, I've got it here.
I knew that he went in, and I didn't recognize the name when you brought it up.
Yeah, I was going through it during the last show.
It's just crazy what's up. I mean, my goodness.
Yeah, I'll try to find it. Yeah, we'll get to it here in a second. Appreciate you being here, Charles. Thank you so much for the support. All hail Michigan. Well, this is coming from a Michigan fan who's got Hassan Haskins and Blake Corum, but I'm surprised that Nebraska does not have a more solid running back room. I see that Jacques Yant gets mentioned a lot, but what has he really done?
Well, he hasn't done a whole heck of a lot, obviously. And Marvin Scott put his name into the transfer portal, and Savion Morrison went into the transfer portal earlier. So yeah, that running back room's a lot thinner right now. But you still have Gabe Urban there, who was the starter until he got hurt. So he's coming back off of injury. And then they're right now hot and heavy on a high school running back out of Minnesota by the name of Emmett Johnson. He's a 3-star running back. So you might possibly see him become a commit here tonight or tomorrow as well. So they're definitely they're addressing that room. Because another thing I guess that we didn't get to as well is that yesterday Ashton Hayes, the longtime Nebraska running back commit, ended up decommitting. So he's going to go to Cal now, and he's an early enrollee, so he was running out of time here, and obviously Nebraska fired Ryan Held, so he lost his position coach, the guy that had recruited him, and so it's not a big surprise. So. Yeah, right now that running back room's looking a lot thinner than it did just a few months ago.
So, Greg, similar to what I was saying off the top about some of these transfer portal decisions being a bit curious, Scott and Morrison, I can't imagine that they're going to find a higher level program that's as thin at the running back position that they would have that kind of an opportunity. It doesn't seem to make any sense.
No, and that's what the thing about this whole transfer portal is, that there's way more guys in it than there are spots to fill. And I don't understand why they don't understand this, that maybe, the best place is right where you're at because you have a scholarship. You have a job. I don't get it. It's so crazy. Yeah.
You know what might have to be developed, and I'm not saying that this is easy, and I'm not saying I could figure it out, but much like when there used to be too many early entries into the NFL draft and guys weren't getting drafted and guys had all these grand delusions about where they were going to get drafted, and then the harsh reality was they didn't get drafted, or they were a late 6th rounder and they thought, oh, I'm going to be this and I'm going to be that. And finally, the NFL worked with college football to say, we're going to supply you with a draft grade and we're going to give you an analysis of most likely where you're going to get drafted. And that's tempered it down to something reasonable where at least they have the information to know, okay, I'm educated on where I truly stand, and now I can make an informed decision as opposed to just, oh, I can go to the NFL and be a star.
Yeah. I can do it either way, I guess, with NIL, and I don't know. Stay in college as long as you desire, and you can still make money nowadays, I guess. Find a better situation. It's shocking to me.
Yes, yes. Well, the quarterbacks available. So I don't know how these are listed. They've got some kind of a rating on these guys, and it doesn't look like it's necessarily either a high school rating or a college rating, but regardless, the top quarterbacks. What's that?
Alphabetical.
The top quarterbacks are generally at the top. So anyway, Quinn Ewers obviously went to Texas from Ohio State, so he hasn't played it down, but he's the number 1 rated quarterback in the country. Cameron Ward, an FCS quarterback, is still out there, one of the best in FCS play. I'll not go through the guys that have signed. Again, Max Johnson, LSU, he's still looking for a spot. Keaton Slovis, USC, looking for a spot. Bo Nix, Auburn, looking for a spot. Miles Brennan, we talked about him from LSU. Zach Calzada, Texas A&M, looking for a spot, just announced yesterday. Harrison Bailey played some at Tennessee. Never really was the starter, but played some. He's looking for a spot. Adrian Martinez still has yet to make his decision. We talked about that last week, Greg. Kansas State and Cal.
I haven't heard anything else. News has been kind of slow out of Adrian's camp, so we wish him the best. Obviously, he played some good football here. Didn't win a lot of games.
Those are all the guys that are what you would call star players in college football. Were starting quarterbacks for a considerable amount of time at a big program. Then after that, you've got Jack Miller, the Ohio State 4-star, who's decided to move on. Jack Plummer, who was a part-time starter at Purdue. Chuba Purdy at Florida State. He was never a starter. Michael Penix, well, he went to Washington from Indiana, so he has found a home.
He would have been a nice, I think.
Yeah, he can throw it.
Yeah, I would have liked a chance to see him.
Then see, everybody else is pretty speculative. They're not guys that have played.
Yeah.
That's the end of the line in terms of guys that can play at this level. Okay.
Yeah, I think we know what their big target is at this point. So
considering who's out there, and then Miles Brennan is only one of whatever I read off, 7 or 8 guys that have proven that they can play at this level, that would be a pretty good get.
Yeah. So, you want that competition too, especially if you are trying to bring up some of these young guys like Heinrich Harburg and a Logan Smothers. So, I mean, that's a no-brainer to get that competition in that room. And, I mean, it's obviously going to have to be a fit with Mark Whipple, too, because we haven't really talked about that much either with, some of the new hires on the offensive side of the ball that they're probably, in my mind, why we haven't heard for that last hires is probably something that Mark Whipple is involved with. Kind of unique, I think, too, that, when you saw Scott Frost come here and bring a staff with him with a bunch of guys that are Scott Frost guys that have been there with him, that now he's brought in 3 guys that really he doesn't have any kind of a personal relationship with. I mean, Mickey Joseph, yes, he played quarterback here at Nebraska, but I don't think him and Scott Frost ever talked much or ever hung out or anything like that. And Mark Whipple's another guy that, not really much of a relationship with other than professional. And then the same thing with Donovan Raiola. So, it's going to be interesting to see how this whole thing melds together on the offensive side of the ball and to see if Scott Frost really does relinquish some of the reins of what's going on there and put the trust into his offensive coordinator, new offensive coordinator, Mark Whipple.
And Nebraska fans certainly wouldn't mind if Whipple had similar success going forward with whomever is the quarterback that he had with Kenny Pickett at Pitt.
Absolutely. And and you're thinking too, this is NFL draft year. You're looking at a really down quarterback class, and he's one of them up there that is actually a draftable guy, first round draftable guy. So that says something about Mark Whipple. I hope. I don't know much about him yet. I will meet him tomorrow. Coach Frost will have his signing day press conference at 2:00 Central time here, and we'll have all complete coverage of that. And then we're also going to have a chance to meet all three of the new offensive coaches as well. So, and we'll have complete video coverage of all that as well. So, all Nebraska fans tune in to Husker Online and Husker Online video on YouTube, and meet the new three coaches tomorrow, and hear what they have to say to the whole Nebraska media, because they'll be getting grilled.
So, Greg, in addition to Ben Roberts' announcement coming tonight, or like you say, you clarified it, he's going to make his decision tonight.
Yeah.
Most likely he's going to make the announcement Wednesday.
Yeah.
Do we expect any other possible announcements?
It's hard to say. On the high school side, I'm kind of looking really not a lot that I could really identify. There's some other names there on the transfer portal of some wide receivers. But we'll see on that front. I don't think that's kind of a pressing need. So anything really that happens on the recruiting side, on the high school side, is going to be a surprise outside of the Ben Roberts announcement right now. But that could change. You never know. You really never know. I mean, you got to keep hitting refresh on some of the news to see at this point. But I mean, that's the way it goes on signing day eve. Most of the time, you're scrambling around and really trying to find guys that might fit your style of play and your program and your culture. And like we all know in recruiting, that takes time to build those relationships. So anything right now at 0 hours really going to be a surprise.
All right, folks, this is what we do each and every Tuesday night. We're back to our regular time slot at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, 6 Central. Greg Peterson makes it go. If we don't have him, we don't have a show. So I hope you all appreciate what we do here with Greg each and every Tuesday night, talking Husker football with all of you. So please do a few things for us. Here's your checklist. Like the video and either grab the link, throw it in Facebook, throw it on Twitter. Just let people know, hey, here was our show this past week. Come on in next week, or just talk to people. I think we still talk to people once in a while. All this social media, I guess people still talk once in a while, but you can let people know, either type it out or text it out, or actually talk to somebody and say, hey, we talk Nebraska football here at the Voice of College Football every Tuesday night.
Retweet it. Follow us on Twitter. We're around. We don't take any days off around here.
No, we don't. Certainly not going to take tomorrow off.
Heck no.
So I'm just going to show up. I don't know exactly what to tell everyone, besides I'm going to tune on the TV at 9 a.m. and just follow all the commits and everything going on. And I've got a Oklahoma show at 12:30 Eastern. I got Michigan at 5, Florida State at 6, and Miami at 7. And then in between all those, I'll be rounding up as many people to just post segments and get out the recent commits to everyone as soon as possible. And then again, Greg is going to be on it starting. When is that news conference? You said 2 Central?
2 Central it starts, yep.
Okay.
So as soon as that's over, we'll have that available and kind of go from there. And hopefully we get some surprises. And if there is any extra, let me know. We can always do a little extra sideshow. Always.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely. We'll be in touch.
Sounds good.
All right, Greg. Have a good day tomorrow.
We will. Things are
everybody
looking up.
Else.
Things are looking up.
And to everybody out there, I will reiterate what Greg said off the top. Happy early National Signing Day Eve. We will see everybody tomorrow. All right, Greg. Appreciate it, man.
No problem. Always a pleasure.